What's going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. Hopefully everyone is doing well and having a great day so far. It is time now for the Tuesday weather update for Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. If you're new to my channel, maybe this is the first time you've clicked on one of my videos, welcome to my channel. This is where I do weather updates daily for the United States, the 7 to 10 day forecast, tropical updates, severe weather updates, drought updates. That's important. A lot of the United States is dealing with drought right now. And sometimes we talk about weather news stories or headlines going on around the world. So if you're new to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below, hit that notification bell, share this video with anyone you know, and of course leave your comments down below. The more people that hit that like button, the more YouTube's going to push this content throughout the algorithm, and the more people I can help keep informed. Today we're going to talk about Raphael, this ongoing cold front that is in the midsection of the country, a flooding threat for Georgia and South Carolina, record warmth in the east, and some active weather for the Pacific Northwest. So let's start off with the national satellite picture. You can see here on the national satellite loop, we do have a cold front that is continuing east. This is the same front that was responsible for the severe weather yesterday, and it has triggered a few tornado warnings today across portions of Louisiana. I believe I saw a tornado warning there earlier, but take a look at this front. It's not moving east all that fast, and take a look at the flow from the Atlantic and north of Raphael. You can see it's pushing back to the west, which indicates this front can only get so far east, and eventually it is going to get stuck. Take a look in the Pacific Northwest. You can see out there we do have cloud cover. The next big system's not going to impact you until the weekend. Taking a look at the radar picture, we can see here we still do have some moisture along this front, which is continuing east. There are some thunderstorms in Louisiana. Still dealing with some rain for St. Louis. You're not dealing with the flooding that you saw earlier. There are still flood warnings, but the heaviest of the rain for you at this time has thankfully passed. Further north, we do have some moisture wrapping around an area of low pressure, which will go over the Great Lakes and into Canada tonight. Not seeing a lot of activity yet in South Carolina and Georgia, but when I show you the modeling in a little bit, things are really getting impressive there, and I'm getting concerned that this area could see a significant flooding event occur tomorrow. Yes, this is really sneaking up on us. I mentioned it yesterday. I'm even more confident about it today. Let's take a look at the National Hazards Map, and we can see here there are still some flood warnings across the St. Louis area and Missouri, Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, and we can see there are winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings across portions of Montana where heavy snows are expected for you. Red flag warnings are up for portions of California, and take a look at this. Hawaii is expecting some flash flooding potential today, and there is a storm in Alaska, so quite the active period at this time. Alright, now for the latest on Raphael. And Raphael at this time is now up to 60 mile per hour winds. 994 millibars is the pressure, and it is moving northwest at 13 miles per hour. Not a whole lot of change with what's expected. It is still expected to hit hurricane status when it gets to Cuba, and it could even get up to a Category 2. It will remain a hurricane after that point, and it's going to make its landfall sometime around midday tomorrow. We'll say tomorrow afternoon for Cuba, exiting Cuba already by 7 p.m. on Wednesday. It will remain a hurricane going into the Gulf on 7 a.m. on Friday, and during that period between time it leaves Cuba up until Friday, there could be some impacts for the Keys. Nothing major, but there could be some severe thunderstorms in the form of potentially tornado spin-ups. There could be a few there, and the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted a slight risk area there. We don't see that too often, but there is a slight risk for that area. Then, once it gets further into the Gulf, you can see here the cone of uncertainty does grow. And what is certain is it's going to weaken. There's wind shear, there's cooler waters, it's going to weaken, but just where is it going to track? There is some disagreement among the models with that. but most models do agree that it is going to weaken. Taking a look at the current picture for it, you can see it's still not all that organized, despite having 60-mile-per-hour winds. We are expecting to see some more convection with it firing up tonight, so it will get stronger tonight and eventually hit hurricane status at some point, maybe early tomorrow morning. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. Now let's take a look at the modeling for Raphael, and you can see here. Here's the hurricane models. They all agree on the track over Cuba, but once it enters the Gulf of Mexico, you can see they just diverge. Some go to the northeast over the Florida Panhandle. Some go closer to Louisiana, which seems to be the consensus, but then take a look here. Then you have a whole bunch that go further left, so it's that disagreement that makes the cone of uncertainty so big. Then when we take a look at the intensity guidance, you can see here, the majority of the models say this will reach hurricane status, and then there are about 3 that say, hey, this could get to Category 2. Only 1 that goes to Category 3. I think a strong and Category 1 is looking likely at this point, as it will have a chance to organize and develop more tonight. Let's take a look at the 12Z GFS, which just came in just a few moments ago, and you can see it really does get going tonight. It has a period where it has some moderate strengthening ongoing tonight. Then as it enters the Gulf, you can see here, it kind of levels off. Doesn't really strengthen much anymore, and then it slowly starts to weaken, and the GFS is still insistent that this is going to slow down a little bit and landfall somewhere around Louisiana. You can see it's not really all that quick, and then by Sunday, there's not really much left with it, but some of that moisture does get into the northeast. Now, there's another picture to the puzzle that we need to look at. We'll get to that in just a moment. I have to show you this first. Yesterday, there were 29 severe storm reports, 8 tornadoes, 16 wind reports, 2 high wind reports, 5 hail reports, 1 large hail report, and 29 total storm reports. Let's take a look at the forecast for today. They just added a slight risk for portions of Louisiana. This just came in. Portions of Louisiana almost into portions of Mississippi and extreme southern Arkansas. There is now a 5% tornado area, 5% for wind. Hail is less than 5%, and you do have that marginal risk across Wisconsin today. Now, here's one of the other pieces to the puzzle for Raphael. Take a look at this. There is a slight risk and a marginal risk in South Florida. The slight risk does go over the Florida Keys. It's kind of hard to see here, but take a look. 5% tornado probabilities right over the Florida Keys, 2% into southern Florida. Now, this is not going to be like Milton, where we saw just tornado after tornado after tornado, but a few spin-ups are possible in this area tomorrow. Then, taking a look at the Day 3 outlook, you can already see there's a marginal risk of severe weather across portions of Texas, as another system is going to enter the picture. Now, we have to look at another piece to the puzzle, and let's go to the days 1 through 7 precipitation forecast. Take a look over South Carolina and Georgia. Yes, you're seeing a very heavy rainfall axis, and this is something that is getting more interesting by the hour on computer models, because, well, we're already in the range where short-range guidance, even to her, the 12Z run, goes out far enough to show us what's going to happen with that, and I'm concerned there's going to be flooding there. And I will show you that concern on the models in just a moment. All across Florida, showers and thunderstorms are expected from even far away from Raphael. So widespread 1 to maybe even 2 inches of rainfall is possible, possibly even more than that over the Florida Keys. You can see Kentucky, Tennessee, northern Mississippi, and Missouri. Once again, more rainfall for you. And take a look at this. Finally, we are seeing a blue shade across the mid-Atlantic, meaning up to a ½ inch precipitation amounts, with maybe locally higher amounts over the next 7 days. And there's that next system for Texas, Oklahoma, and portions of Kansas, Nebraska, the Four Corners region, well, the eastern part of the Four Corners region. Yes, that is going to be an impact for you later in the week, and very heavy precipitation amounts, especially closer towards the day 7 time frame in the Pacific Northwest, because you're going to see just a train of storm systems that will move in for you. Now, as we head into tomorrow, First off with today, there is a slight risk of excessive rainfall across portions of Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky, but as we head into tomorrow, there is now a slight risk across portions of Georgia and South Carolina. I would not be surprised if two things happen. One, this risk gets expanded, and two, it gets upgraded to a moderate risk of excessive rainfall. Let's go to the modeling guidance, and I will show you why I am thinking that. Here is the 12Z HER model, which just came in. You can see nothing more than just a few showers in South Carolina and Georgia for today. Here's Louisiana over here. You can see showers and thunderstorms will continue this afternoon. And take a look. We're into the overnight hours. This front hasn't made it all that far to the east. So you're going to see some training segments in Kentucky and Tennessee along this front, which means, yes, the flash flooding threat does exist for you. But take a look at this. Here comes some moisture starting to build up in the Atlantic, coming towards the coast of Georgia and South Carolina. Watch what happens as I advance this. That front that was over Kentucky gets a little bit more southeast. This moisture starts to push up against a front that's going to essentially stall, and you can see you get a convergence zone that sets up in the Carolinas, South Carolina, Georgia, even portions of Florida. Here comes Raphael, and you can see here there's moisture feeding up against that. Maybe a pre or something of that sort does set up, and look what happens here. You're seeing extremely heavy rainfall amounts right along the Georgia, South Carolina, and even southern North Carolina coast. And this happens for hour after hour after hour. Now, where this sets up is still a little bit in question. Remember yesterday I was showing you central Georgia? The HER model is saying maybe that sets up a little bit further to the east. How much rainfall am I talking about here? Take a look at this. You're seeing oranges show up here. Those are locally 10, 12-inch amounts. Now, am I saying that's going to happen? Not necessarily, but in places where training segments set up, you're going to see very heavy 2-inch per hour, maybe even 2.5-inch per hour rainfall rates. The moisture levels are going to be running very high, and this system, this moisture, it's not going to be able to get northwest because you have a front that's trying to come in, and it's not going to be able to get far east. You have an area of high pressure, which is blocking. So wherever this sets up is going to be extremely concerning. Take a look now at the 12Z RGEM model, which just came in. It's also focusing right here. Take a look at this in Savannah, Georgia. Yes, that is locally 10 plus inches of rainfall. You can even see here, a little bit further inland, we're talking 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. So that is something that I am concerned about, that we need to continue to watch. The 12Z NAM, it's still a little bit further to the west, and it wouldn't surprise me if portions of central Georgia does get included in on this as well. I think the flooding risk here is going to be high, which is why I said this could get upgraded to a moderate risk of excessive rainfall for tomorrow. This will be pretty much a long duration, 12 to 18 hour event tomorrow, so it's something you really need to pay attention to. Something else that's going to happen tomorrow. Here is the temperatures for tomorrow in the east. Take a look at this. From about New York City on southwestward, widespread mid to upper 70s. Yes, there will be even places that hit 80 degrees. This could be underdone because the ground is so dry. And when the ground is dry, temperatures can warm up much faster. Philadelphia, Washington, Richmond. Yes, it is going to be very warm for you. Even places that see that heavy rainfall in the Carolinas tomorrow, like South Carolina, and even southern North Carolina and Georgia, still looking at upper 70s to near 80 because this is a warm, moist setup for you. In the northwest, you see rather cool conditions for tomorrow. All right, let's take a look at the longer range, and we will continue to use the GFS model at this time. And we can see here that as we get beyond these two systems I was talking about, here's the next system in Texas. And a lot of that is going to occur starting on Thursday evening, all day Friday, and maybe even lasting into Saturday across portions of Oklahoma and Kansas. Yes, there will be a winter aspect to this in the mountains of the southern Rockies, and who knows, there could be several inches of snow there. There's going to be very heavy rainfall ahead of this system, and that could lead to some flooding concerns. As I advance this into the weekend, look at the Pacific Northwest. Watch what happens. You can see here, just a parade of systems. Once again, you are going to experience heavy rainfall, mountain snows, and at some point, this pattern could start to shift south, and we could start to see rainfall showing up in central and maybe even southern California as we get into the long, we'll say 8 to 14 day range. It's something we're going to have to continue to watch. One thing that is going to continue in the east, above average temperatures, but in the mid to second half of the month, there are some indications that the east could see a bit of a change and maybe a cooler pattern sets up. It was showing up on the European last night. I can show you that real quickly. And here is the 0Z Euro from last night. Now mind you, we are in the extended range. I'm not so certain I buy this yet, but take a look here. You can see a trough tries to set up in the east. Should that happen, things would finally feel more like fall. Not totally on board with that just yet. Let's take a look at some Climate Prediction Center outlooks. The 6 to 10 day temperature outlook looks to be above average in the east, which I've been expecting that all along. Below average in the west. Precipitation above average in the southeast, slightly above average in the east. We will see a few more rainfall events that will eventually enter the picture for places like the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. We're not talking about drought busters, but enough that it could finally maybe wetten the ground and put a damper on the wildfire risk. Above average in the Pacific Northwest, below average precipitation for California, and near normal around the Four Corners region, at least the southern Four Corners region. 8 to 14 days, above average in the east, below average in the west. And you can see here, at that point, above average precipitation for much of the country, near normal in California, but again, I think we could start to see a flip. And that flow that is kind of setting up right now over portions of the Northwest, that could shift south, and that could allow for a wetter pattern for California, something we will have to keep an eye on. Alright, that does it for the Tuesday weather update. We will have another weather update again tomorrow. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below if you're new to my channel. I like to keep as many people informed as possible. Another way to do that is share this video with anyone you know. Hit that notification bell to be notified of my latest videos. And of course, leave your comments down below. I will see you all again next time. Until I see you again next time, have a great day, and thanks for watching.